We are very excited about our guest today. And for those of you who have been with us from the beginning, Cass and I have been very committed to providing and presenting a really wide and varied perspective on mastectomy. And what we haven't done much of to date, and what we're absolutely keen to explore more extensively in the future, is the cultural influences at play when it comes to things like prevention, diagnosis, treatment, and well-being regarding mastectomy. So last year, in preparation for my trip to Indonesia, I was doing some exploring online to find some connections in the mastectomy community, and I stumbled across an amazing organisation called Bali Pink Ribbon. And when I reached out to them online, they very, very promptly and kindly put me in touch with the beautiful Kathryn. And she was so lovely and hospitable. And I had the pleasure of actually meeting her in person last year when I went to Indonesia whilst I was over there. And after listening to her story, I knew that our breasties absolutely had to hear from you. So I want to warmly welcome you today to the Breast Case Scenario podcast, Kathryn.
You.
It's so lovely to have you with us today, Kathryn. And I feel we should jump straight in, Kris.
Mhm.
And Kathryn, would you mind giving our breasties a little bit of a rundown on your own journey and what's led you down this path?
Okay, so let me tell you a little bit first about the history of my mastectomy. So I actually was aware of a lump in my breast around the year of 2016. But being a woman, or I don't know if it like applies to everybody else, it was like I was in denial mode because I already suspected that there was like something very wrong. And also with the excuse that I was working, with the excuse that I was too busy to go to the doctor and whatever. I didn't have it properly checked until 1 year after, when it started to actually cause me pain when I put on a bra. Then, with my husband's advice also, we went to the doctor and got it checked out. And as suspected, he also said that it was possibly like a malignant cancer, and he recommended that we go straight into surgery and take out the whole breast, yeah. So not just the cell itself, because after I heard the diagnosis, I looked up information on the internet, and then I also consulted some of my friends and relatives who like also found lumps on their breast, and most of them just like advise, oh, just take out the part that's the lump instead of the whole breast. But my consideration was that I didn't want it to grow another lump in another place in my breast. So I just decided, what the heck, let's just cut the whole thing and be done with it and not worry that it's going to recur there. So I didn't go through the biopsy, actually. It was just the X-ray and the USG. And the doctor did the biopsy straight on the surgery date. And then he found out that it indeed was like very malignant. So he just like cut the whole thing out, like did a full mastectomy on my right breast. And then following that, I did like a 5 times chemotherapy, because he said he was like concerned that there might be spreading to the other organs. So he still recommended that I did a chemotherapy. And that, to me, honestly, was like a worse experience than the surgery itself, because like chemo, maybe at that time, yeah, I don't know if they have better medication now, but at that time it was like so bad. Like you didn't want to live after you did the chemo, because you couldn't eat, you couldn't sleep, you smelled like medication. So it's like very uncomfortable. And then on top of that, yeah, you lose your hair, you lose your bodily hair. So it was like a really trying time. And finally, I even threatened my doctor, if you don't stop chemotherapy, I'm not going back the rest of my medication. So finally, he agreed out of the 6 times that I only do 5 times. And then following that, I followed the hormonal therapy, like it's injections and pills to stop the estrogen, I believe, yeah. And that one you have to do. Originally, it was 5 years, my doctor said, but after current research, they recommend now that you do it for 10 years. So that's been my routine for the last 8 years, and hopefully after the finish in the 10 years, and then I'll be okay. That's the final hope or the final goal. So that was the whole process. And then if I can underline, I think the challenges here in Bali and in Indonesia in general, mainly number one is the financial consideration. Because when you're diagnosed with a critical illness like this, it always means that there's going to be like a high cost for checking to the doctor, medication, and everything. But it's a good thing now that we have what's called the BPJS, which is like a social security, but special for health by the state. When I started 8 years ago, I actually paid for everything myself first in the beginning, because I wasn't aware that the insurance covered also the critical illness. But after the operation, my doctor asked me to go into the system, try and sort out all the paperwork for doing the BPJS, and I've been using the BPJS ever since, and not paying for anything for the chemotherapy and for the hormonal therapy and for the routine checkup every month. It's all paid by this BPJS. So that one shouldn't be a concern. Yeah, like a lot of the ladies come to me, oh, it's going to be expensive. No, if you are patient enough to go through the system, then BPJS will be able to cover. And then the second one, I think, is their concern about appearances. Yeah. Especially if you're working in a sector that is very focusing on appearance, like you have to look pretty, you have to be like a perfect woman and everything. And then unfortunately, if you go through the medication for the breast cancer, that is temporarily on hold. So like you look really bad, you don't have a breast, so that's like very impactful on your motivation and like you don't believe like you're the true woman anymore. And then sometimes, like in my case, it was breast and hair at the same time. So there was like a very now I look back at it and I kind of laugh. When the chemo, like your your eyelashes, like they go away also, right? And I always drive a motorcycle for transport in Bali, and because there was no eyelashes, so like the dust went into my eyes, so it was I couldn't go anywhere, like I couldn't drive myself anywhere during that period. It was at least I think 6 months, yeah, because of the chemo effect is quite long. So it was like, oh, this is like just one small thing, but it's like really annoying. Like you can't be independent and being able to like go or do what you want. I think that was like one of the things that was really annoying emotionally. But for that challenge, I think the answer is like, one, you have to believe in yourself and be resilient and want to be healthy, because I believe if it's your body, then you have the right to have it healthy, no matter what other people say. Because in some cases, it's like I was fortunate that my family was very supportive for my decision. They didn't question when I said, I just want the surgery. I don't want to know anymore. I just want to cut it out from my body. They were like very supportive, and they were also actually my motivation, because my doctor said, do you want to live long enough to see your kids grow up, get married, whatever? If the answer is yes, then it's better that you do the medication, like you follow it, because it is life and death decision like that. But there are a lot of cases, especially through the community in Bali Pink Ribbon, where it is actually the family that does not allow the patient or the woman to go through with the medication, like if it's surgery or if it's medicine or anything, because of cultural and historic religion reason, but also because they tend to use herbal and alternative medication for things like cancer or critical illness, because they see it's like I don't know, maybe like the curse, or they did something wrong, so they're being punished like that. So they don't approach it as a medical or a logical problem, but they like tend to, okay, let's do it with the alternative medicine, or we bring it to like a shaman, or in Bali is you call it the Balian, which is like a doctor like that. So that's also like a big thing. I think the two big things are those, the finances and the the support or the decision from the patient themselves, like that, in relating to their environment and to the to the family. I think the family is key actually here to like help you and support you through the process. And the third thing maybe is the technology and the access. Like I was fortunate enough to be educated, so I knew there were online resources, maybe not in Indonesia at the time, but there were already like in Australia, in the US, in the UK, that had already research on cancer, and that they could provide recommendations. Because in Indonesia, there was not that, I think until now, it's actually not much resources that you can access, and also the access to the health facilities. I was again fortunate to be living in Bali, where health facilities, even the very basic one, is like easily accessible anywhere. Like I could go to what they call here is a puskesmas. It's like a small clinic at the village level. But if I were anywhere else, I think maybe in Java or in Sumatra or in other parts of Indonesia, in the remote areas, it would be difficult to find anybody with that kind of knowledge. They would have to refer you to a bigger hospital in the main city, like that. I believe that's how it works in other areas. Maybe before in remote Bali also it's difficult, but now because we have good internet, we have good roads, the health facilities are much improved. So I think for Bali, this is not an issue anymore. But talking Indonesia in general, and maybe the islands surrounding Bali, this is still like a very big issue, is the access to information and the access to the health facilities. I think that's more or less the background of what's happening with the breast cancer, and I think cancer in general in Indonesia and in Bali.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very comprehensive, and I have so many
Yeah.
questions. I don't even know where to start.
I
can
would just
tell.
like to start by really honoring the journey you've been on and saying, you know, so sorry that you've been through such a struggle, but also so inspiring to hear how you took control of the situation and you decided that no matter what society may think or what stories may be trickling through to me, I am actually going to do what is best for myself and ultimately for your family. And yeah, just really honoring that for you and knowing that in the context that was a really courageous decision to make. So yeah, just holding you in that before we say anything else, because that was a amazing story to hear.
8 years later, where are you now in regards to that decision?
So actually looking back now, because it's quite a long period, yeah, so I can like safely say now that I was happy with the decision. If I had to do the whole thing again, I would still make that same decision. And people, like going back to the appearance thing, if I don't tell them that I've been through mastectomy, they wouldn't know. Like it doesn't show physically. They can't see from my appearance because like it's almost I'm back to normal now. And in many ways, it has made me stronger. I think, yeah, emotionally, because going through that whole process, it's good. Like people do support you, but sometimes it's more of a pity instead of an empathy. So it's not like you don't really know how I feel. Like I'm grateful that you're apa namanya sympathetic with my condition, but it's actually us ladies who can really like feel the pain and the frustration and the why is this happening to me? What did I do wrong? Like that. And that is also one that I found that was like, why is it me? I'm living in Bali. Bali is relatively like a better lifestyle. There's not so much pollution. I'm eating better compared to my friends and colleagues in Jakarta, and yet they're the ones that are still healthy. And I was the one who actually got breast cancer. So in that sense, it was like so confusing and so frustrating at the time. But after my doctor explained that it could be because of the heritage, because I have cases of cancer in my family. So that could be like a very defining point why I got the breast cancer. In terms of my family, they are supportive, like they were 8 years ago, because it's not an easy process. Yeah, you need to remember, especially for the younger generation, this is not something that you go to the doctor one time and it's gone. It's like it's a very long process, and you need to be patient, and you need to be like do it routinely and not break the cycle, because again with cancer you never know, it could recur if you stop the medication. So I always advise for everybody, if once you've decided that you want to get rid of it and be healthy again, then you need to follow it until the end. Not just like, okay, I've gone to the doctor, I've done my surgery, that's it, I'm going to go back to my life. No, sorry, it doesn't happen like that. It's like a long-term process that needs your commitment if you want to be 100% sure that you will be living at the end of this process. So that too, that too involves like support from the family, because like in my case, because of the insurance, the BPJS, like I need to go every month to the doctor to get the medicine. So apa namanya, this still affects them, it still impacts them, even though my kids are now a little bit older. But I imagine if like I started out with babies like that, and it would be like, oh my god, headache like that. And there are a couple of friends, because we like develop friends through the treatment. And there are some friends, like I have the same oncologist with a lady, and then halfway through my chemo, this lady never showed up. So out of curiosity, I asked my doctor what happened to the lady that's usually with me doing the treatment. And then he said, oh, her cancer is already like too much widespreading, and so we couldn't save her, and she passed away. So that was also like quite an emotional blow, that you actually, people do die because of it. And like I was one of the lucky ones to survive, maybe. Yeah, so we need to be thankful, and like don't look at it like you're the one who's the most suffering, because there are a lot of other ladies outside there that suffer more, especially those with the spreading already, like they are in more pain, they need more medication. So we can't get stuck or trapped in the thinking that, oh, I'm the, like I have the worst fate in the world, like that. No,
Or why me? Why me?
yeah.
You get into
Don't
some
be.
unhealthy spaces, can't you?
Yeah. Don't be like that. Like there's a lot of other people that are suffering more than us. So just go through it, be patient, do the medication, and then hopefully everything will be okay, but I can't say that for a lot of other ladies. Yeah, that's maybe part of character that to be apa namanya resilient and routine, and your family has to be supported all along the way. And also, I think I mentioned in my point, because I have my own office, so I work as an entrepreneur, it's easier. If I were working for a company, I don't know, yeah, in Indonesia, maybe they would just fire you because you're like taking too many day offs to do the operation, and then later doing chemo, and then doing the doctor every month. So that's also another thing maybe that needs to be considered. But again, health is priority still for me. So if it means like losing your job temporarily, then I think just go for it, and then worry about your career or your job later after the treatment is finished.
I think you brought up a really interesting point, and probably a largely invisible one, in regards to what you were saying about the ongoing nature of the cancer. So once you've had the mastectomy, that's the first step, but there's often
Yeah,
ongoing. And it just reminds me, I
yeah.
have a dear friend who went through a breast cancer diagnosis, and she didn't have to have a mastectomy. She had a lumpectomy, but as a result of that has had extensive radiation post. And that was quite some time ago now. And I've just watched her and supported her for the past, I think, 5 or 6 years. And the knock-on effects from radiation, the secondary health issues that can sometimes come apart from that, she's still going through operations. So it's really tiring. And it's just something that I think, unless you're not directly impacted by, a consideration for when you have someone going through something like this.
And
It's because it's not easy. I found out also for the caretakers, especially when they're already like in a critical condition. So the husband or the spouse or the kids are like they have a very important role in the journey. Apa namanya? For me, I was lucky enough that I was strong enough actually to do the treatment myself independently, so I could still go to the doctor myself and get all the medication. But in other cases, like they couldn't even walk properly, so they had to have either the kid or the husband to accompany them. But being in Asia, in Indonesia, I think that's a very good cultural point, yeah, that the family is still responsible for the parent or for the spouse or something like that, because I believe maybe in the Western countries it's like they put them in the hospital or like a hospice or something like that, and the family doesn't really want to apa namanya take care or get involved in the treatment here because of the cultural values and the religious values that we have in the society, that it is actually like apa namanya responsibility from the family members to help the patient. Once they agree to the treatment, then they will like give full support, like if they need to be apa namanya transported to the doctor, get the medicine, because BPJS is a state insurance. So as you know, there's a lot of paperwork. Like for one item of treatment, like you have to go to a separate department like that, and you can't do it in one day. So, for example, for like a restaging, you have to do the USG, you have to do the X-ray, you have to do the blood work. So these are like 3 different items that you have to go to 3 different doctors in 3 different days. So for the patient, this is also like a very time consuming, but also you must remember if they have a caregiver, then the caregiver is also like apa namanya, it's time consuming for them too. So apa namanya, sometimes I remind in the community or in our Pink Fighters Bali, we have like a community of survivors and ladies still going through the treatment, that they need to consider also their caregiver. Don't be apa namanya, selfish ya, and just think of yourself. You need to also consider them because they're like investing a lot of time and emotions by taking care of us. So if I may put it mildly, don't be a bitch. Just like right, even though you're in
Yeah.
pain or you're apa namanya, you feel like you're being tortured, but like be considerate about your caregiver and like don't be mean first.
I like a nice, short, sharp, to the point slogan. Don't be a bitch.
Could be embraced on many levels.
Yeah.
Couldn't it? Yep.
And that must be really challenging, particularly for, as you were speaking before, around the regional communities of Indonesia. You have, I guess, that gap, which is similar to Western countries, the rural and remote gap. The access to resources, the access to information, the access to transport and locality of services must be a challenge. So, and the education as well, because you just talked about the paperwork required and the hoops you have to jump through to get Social Security. There must have to be some level of support for those who may not be as educated as yourself as well.
Yes. For that one, unfortunately, I think due to the sheer paperwork and everything, like that's one of the major things that makes the ladies, especially in the rural and remote area, decline the medical, the medical option of going through the BPJS and going through the doctor simply because maybe they can't read or they don't have a mobile phone or they don't have like internet and stuff like that. So that is a very real issue. Also, as I mentioned, like outside of Bali, that is like a real issue. Like before, even some of them don't speak Indonesian. So like at the health facilities, you need to have doctors that can speak the local language. And as you know, Indonesia, every island has their own language. So it's like, yeah.
You know what? I
In
actually
Bali,
didn't know. I actually didn't know that. That's
yeah. Like a lot of the people, especially in the remote area in Bali, some of them can only speak Bali even for the older ones. Yeah, they only speak in Balinese. So you need to have like apa namanya, the staff who understand the Balinese language and can communicate with them. Now, luckily, because of the technology, now their kids can have access to internet through their mobile phones. So actually, it's easier for them to go through the process of the BPJS, but they do need the assistance. That's where if you don't have a kid or a spouse or anything, it's still quite difficult to get the proper medication for the breast cancer. Um, but with Bali Pink Ribbon, actually, that is one of the roles that we do because we have a community. Like I mentioned, it's called the Pink Fighters Bali. It's a community of survivors like myself. Some are old, some are young, some are still going through treatment like that. And they actually, it's by, so if there's like a patient and then she's confused or something and then she reaches out to her family and then the family said, oh, I have a friend in Bali Pink Ribbon or in the Pink Fighters Bali, let me connect you to them. And then that is where we reach out to this person and try to give like advice on what they need to do. I think that's the main role. And then if the family agrees to go through the procedure, then we provide like additional support emotionally. We visit them to the hospital after the surgery. And then in some cases, when they are still like very poor, then Bali Pink Ribbon can step in and help to finance their BPJS. So we put them in the system so that they can be funded by the BPJS because Bali Pink Ribbon itself is like a very small organization. We don't have a lot of financial aid to do like helping out with the surgery or anything. So it's like the small things, putting them into the system of the BPJS, or paying them for like it's called the rumah singgah. So when you're in a remote area and there is no health facility that has a oncologist specialist, then they will bring you to Bali or to Denpasar, to the main hospital here. And then there's like a special house, like a boarding house for the patient and like for one family that they can stay there for a month or 2 months or 3 months while they wait for the surgery schedule. So Bali Pink Ribbon usually can help for that too, the transport from their village to Bali to stay in this boarding house until they get all the proper medication like that. But because Bali Pink Ribbon is like for educational and awareness, we're not really into the financing things. It's like we go more for the preventive. We do road shows, we do like a screening, we do seminars, we go to the villages, the churches, the mosques, like and give like and bring in doctors to give in like a presentation about breast cancer, and then we bring a team also of doctors to do like the basic checkup, and then if they detect a lump or anything that looks suspicious, then this doctor will refer them to the oncologist, to the nearest hospital like that.
What
So
an
I think it's very
amazing
good, the
service.
community.
Yeah. Such an amazing service that Bali Pink Ribbon is offering to the community and the smaller group there of the Pink Fighters Bali. That's fabulous to hear. Such great work and getting that message out. And I guess when you're actively working there and you're approaching a family about this, what is it like for you when you come up against the resistance, if there is resistance? What strategies do you use, or how does it impact you personally when you do come up against resistance from families or reluctance to act and have the surgery or take the medication?
It's frustrating, yeah. I personally never gone to a trip to a family because they normally do it. The Balinese ladies go because they like talking Balinese, and I don't have good Balinese enough to understand the conversation. But from what I heard from my colleagues and from the Pink Fighters, it's like normally the patient would reach out to them, and then they would come like asking what's happening to me, and then they would like, oh, maybe you need to get a checkup. They don't even mention that it's like cancer or anything. Maybe you just need
Right.
to do a checkup first, like that. But even at that point, sometimes the family says, oh no, like usually it's the husband, yeah, that
Yeah.
says no, So it's like with the reason, oh, later you can't do your religious responsibilities if you go through the medication, or like you can't take care of the kids, or let's just do like herbal because I have an uncle, or I have my grandfather that went through this alternative medication and was like healed like that. So
Mm.
it is frustrating, but again, we can only go so far, yeah,
Yes.
to
Yeah.
advocate and give them understanding, and then say if it's the matter of the finance, then you don't need to worry because there is BPJS, and even if there's no BPJS, Bali Pink Ribbon can help with the BPJS. But sometimes that's just an excuse.
Yes.
It's like they really don't. The family doesn't want the patient to go through that, and then in the long term, the woman or the patient gets sick because of the breast cancer. And then it's like when they bring in to the doctor, it's already stadium 3 or stadium 4, which is like they're basically, you can't do anything to it. It's like too late like that.
Mm.
So in the beginning of Bali Pink Ribbon, that was the majority of the cases where they it in, but it was like already too late. It was already like a wound. It was already spreading to the other organs like that, and all they could do is like go in for radiation or go in for chemotherapy and then take the medication or just die naturally. But now I think, especially with the younger generation, they are like aware enough in advance, so it doesn't reach that point. With still a consideration is the people who are not aware, like they don't know anything about breast cancer. They don't realize that if you have a lump, it's something that you should worry about. That's the one that we are actually trying to reach out to and give the education, give the awareness that if you have something wrong with your body, like please take it to the doctor. At least get it diagnosed. If it's like not malignant, or is it like just something else, then you don't need to be worried. But for the peace of mind, then it's still better to apa namanya, get it checked, yeah, to an oncologist. Mainly also because breast cancer, I think, is the easiest cancer compared to the other ones. Once you cut it out, if it hasn't spread yet, then you're safe. Like you're done. Yay! Let's go back to life. Unlike other cancers like cervix or like the other organs, where it is not possible to cut it and be done with it. So apa namanya, that is another thing that I keep pushing. One is you can do the sadari, which is periksa payudara sendiri. It translates into checking your own breast procedure when you take a bath or in the mirror. That you can do for the preventive. But also when you are diagnosed, then don't be too much worried about it yet. If the doctor says you can do the mastectomy and then you're okay, then just apa namanya, follow that option, like that medical option. I think breast cancer is like the friendliest, easiest one, even though it affects your appearance maybe. And then again, you feel like I'm not totally woman, and or maybe I don't know. The husband says, if you don't have your complete breast, I'm gonna look for another wife. I've heard that also, like happening when they approach the patient, and then like the husband says, "Oh, you can't give me, or you're not perfect, so I don't want to be with you anymore." Like that. So,
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you
It's
so
like
much
that.
for giving voice to that perspective, because for us, coming, from our cultural background, that's not even something that many of us consider. You know what I mean? So having you voice that on behalf of the women of Bali and Indonesia is so important, and a very interesting perspective for our listeners to hear as well.
I'm just
and I
going
think
through
that's
your
where
notes.
Sorry?
Sorry, I'm just going through your notes to make sure there was nothing else we wanted to hit. Sorry. Keep going. We can cut this bit out.
You're doing amazing.
Amazing.
So that's where I think it is our role, as the patient and as the woman, that we need to be determined that we want to be healthy, no matter what they say. If your family or your husband support you, good for you. If they don't support you, I say just leave them behind. Don't consider anything about them, because it's our health, it's our body. So you need to be strong and make that decision. And then hopefully later in the long run, like myself, when you are healthy, then there's no regrets. Like you lose a breast, or you lose your hair, or even your whole household and life is like turned upside down. Maybe at the time it looks negative, but in the longer run, after you achieve your target that you want to be healthy again and go back to a normal life, I think all of that will just look like something in the past. That it's a process that you need to go through in order to be where you are right now. And this is what I keep pushing, especially for the younger generation. Again, that's like the young one and the instant. If I look at the Instagram, one time I go to the doctor, it's gone, it's finished. No, it's not like that. It's a long-term process, and it's a process. So it doesn't happen instantly. There's no magic wand that will make it like go away and everything is better in a short term. It will get better, but it's in the long term, like that. So you just need to follow through. with the process.
It's a very empowering message.
Yeah.
And to your point on the younger generation, I remember us talking when we met last year with your PR background, really kind of looking with fresh eyes around how you can increase the engagement of that audience in Indonesia through the Bali Pink Ribbon, and how you can, look at things from different perspectives now that we have TikTok and social media and the role that plays, and then the instant gratification, and quick and easy fixes that you kind of dealing with. Is there something in through the Pink Ribbon and with your PR background that you're innovating on in that space?
Unfortunately, not yet, because Bali Pink Ribbon, I believe, like in all organizations, regeneration is very difficult, So the people who are running the organizations now are actually average or at my age or maybe a little bit younger, not really the young ones. So it's a bit difficult because we communicate a different way than these younger generations, and I've been like advocating Ribbon that you need to regenerate. We need to have younger people who are survivors, who are willing to be like our brand ambassador that talks to their own generation. So that is like a real issue right now, in Bali Pink Ribbon, because they're still doing things like the old school ways, and that may be good 8 years ago, like going for road shows and then going to the remote areas. I think that's good, and we can still do it like that. But we also need to consider how to reach the young generation and make them more aware, like as you say, in TikTok or through like educational post feeds, something like that. But that is ongoing, actually, to be honest. And even with the pink survivors, they're also like not really not really young, Again, by the time they go to the doctor, they're already above 40, like that. So it's like a generation gap, basically, I think. But we're working on that.
Well, I was just going to say, I think your T-shirt might be closing the generation gap, because Kathryn's got an amazing pink T-shirt on that says cancer with the R crossed out and an L after it to make cancel. And I'm like, the younger generation love canceling things too. So
absolutely.
like, I reckon just get that T-shirt into circulation, and that's your first step forward.
Where can we buy those shirts? Because we can put that up on our socials.
Actually, because we're a non-profit organization, so the rules in Indonesia say that we cannot sell any merchandise online. So any purchase or sales can be done through a festival, if we are like joining a festival or an event, or it can be done through our our annual walk, or it can be done by a personal order. So if you want to like order something like that, just text me or something, and then I can try and organize from here. Unfortunately, because of the rules, I don't understand why we cannot sell any merchandise, even if it's related to cancer and related to like fundraising. We still can't do it. And then on that note, because you're Australian market, there is actually ways that you can support Bali Pink Ribbon aside from like cash donations. It's also, if you happen to be traveling to Indonesia or Bali, if you can like bring in prosthetics like for the breast, because in Indonesia, but as I mentioned, I think in BPJS they don't cover post mastectomy because it is considered like an aesthetic surgery. So after they cut it, they cannot they cannot restore it, or you have to pay yourself if you want to do the plastic surgery like that. So a lot of us don't have any choice other than using the prosthetics. And then 8 years ago, when I had my surgery, they didn't produce any prosthetics in Indonesia. So I actually had to reach out to my family in the US and for them to ship it here so that I could use it. Now they do have, but it's still very limited and it's very, very, very expensive. So if we have already some Australian friends coming in, like bringing the prosthetics or bringing like the chemo hats or like apa namanya the bra for the apa namanya the prosthetic bra like that. Items like that are also very helpful because like the ladies after they go through the surgery and they don't have the prosthetics and they like want to appear normal, like they still have a breast, and then they would reach out to Bali Pink Ribbon and come to the office and try out one of the prosthetics, and we give it out for free for the apa namanya for the poor ladies in the remote area. If it's like the middle class or upper class, we can give it out, but we ask like for a donation or something that you want to contribute to that. But that is also another thing that we truly, if you are able to bring in from Australia.
Okay, so breasties. So what you're saying, Kathryn, is that Cass and I need to come over to Indonesia for a work holiday, let's call it.
Okay.
So that we can buy one of those shirts and bring some prosthetics over with us to support the cause.
Buy one of those shirts. I think we need to buy about 100.
Oh, yeah, let's buy 100.
I'm telling you, our breasties will buy that shirt and then we can make some difference to Bali.
Yeah, I think we've got an idea germinating here.
Yeah, we're sharing our brain cells as we...
That's very good, because in my mind, like, yeah, we have a lot of nice shirts. We have like keychains. We have like pretty trinkets, ladies, and we like pink and we like bling. But unfortunately, due to the regulation, we cannot sell online, so we can't put it on our website or social media. So the only outlet that we have is if we're invited, for example, for like we did with Hard Rock Hotel in October, they have like a special month of Pink Month like that. So they bring in our merchandise and they sell it in the hotel, and the guests can buy like for things it's okay. But other than that, it has to be like offline. But that's an excuse for you. Come to Bali. Visit our office. On the holiday, preferably on the run, the month of the Pink Ribbon Run in October. That would be good.
Amazing.
Yeah, Cass loves running.
Look, I am a very good cheerleader. She's the runner. I'm the support person.
Although, Kathryn, I did try to run the last couple of times I've been in Bali. Whoa, the climate and having to adjust, it is... Yeah, it's quite challenging running in that climate when you're not used to the humidity. So yeah, it's good. It's a good challenge.
Yeah, especially now. They stayed last year, and this year is still extreme weather. So if it rains, it like rains very hard, and then it floods. But then when it's hot, it's like extremely hot, like very, very, very hot. Even there's no sun, but it's because of the humidity, maybe. Yeah, then it makes it like a extra hot. But we're like hoping after mid of this year, hopefully the weather will go back to how it was before, without the extreme weather.
Did you have anything?
No, Kathryn's just spoken so well.
I know.
Like, she's covered everything that
I get to
You've done
when sharing like that, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna tell you everything.
Yeah, I can feel it coming out of you, like it just pours out, and you've done such a beautiful job articulating.
Yeah, I'm so passionate about this now, especially after going through myself, and I cannot repeat how many times preventive, especially in Indonesia. You can check yourself, like every time you take a bath, every time you go to the mirror to do your makeup, you can like reach out and feel underneath your breast if there like anything. And when you do find, please don't be like myself that went into denial mode or made the excuse, this and that. Go have it checked out. You don't need to worry about the finances because there's BPJS. You don't need to worry about the appearance because I am a living proof that you can go back to your appearance after you finish the treatment. And do you want to live a long life or no? Do you want to live for yourself, or like in my case, it had to be, do you want to live for your kids to see them grow up? Or like, do you want to be there for your mother, for your whatever the reason is? But keep in mind that this is our body, this is our health. So we need to like prioritize on that. Don't do it for somebody else. That's what I'm trying to say. You need to do it for yourself in order to go through this long and difficult and sometimes very trying treatment. I'm not going to say that it's easy because I already went through myself, especially with the chemo, like I mentioned. It's when I really like wanted to end it all. During the chemo, the surgery is nothing. It's like a few weeks after you're recovered, it's okay. But the chemo is like very long, even from the treatment to the end of the effect of the chemo is long. And then like in my case, there are some side effects too from the chemo that I am now going through. And unfortunately, permanent. So it cannot be like reversed because there were so many changes at the cell level that it's like permanent to the nerve. It's a nerve damage condition. But that being said, I think it's still better to live with these problems rather than you leave it and then in the end you like die. In a nutshell, sorry for being so blunt.
No, and I think that's a really important call to action. It is probably a nice ending to this amazing and insightful interview. I think we will be working together offline to get our hot little hands on those shirts, and I'm sure our breasties might be interested too. So this is not the end of our conversation, but we just want to thank you, Kathryn.
Thank you so
much for having me. And I hope whatever message I give here is also relevant to your followers. This is just to share that maybe the conditions in Australia and in Indonesia are very different, but it's still, in the end, it's still the same goal, that we are the woman, we want a healthy life, a healthy body, and it should be our right to decide what we do. If you are diagnosed, what is the next step? It should be your decision. And please do it. If there is still a medical solution, please do the medical solution instead of like going to the alternative or the herbal or this person has like special magic that can make it go.
Oh, thank you so much, Kathryn.
We appreciate
Thanks
it
for
so
having
much.
me.
Thank you.